Welcome to Mind Set in Stone podcasts, where we dive deep into the most compelling books on the shelf. Join hosts Dave and Poppy as they uncover the stories, themes, and ideas that shape our understanding and inspire curiosity. Get ready to explore the big ideas that leave a lasting impact. Let's get started.
All right, buckle up everyone, because today we're diving deep into Pam Grout's E-Squared.
Oh yeah, E-Squared. This book, it really gets you thinking about the power of our own thoughts and beliefs, you know?
Absolutely. It's all about tapping into this universal energy field that Grout calls the field of potentiality, or FP for short. Think of it like invisible Wi-Fi for your life.
Yeah, like invisible Wi-Fi. And the crazy thing is, this energy field, it actually responds to our thoughts and beliefs.
It's kind of like we're all walking around with these superpowers that we haven't quite figured out how to use yet. And Grout lays out 9 fascinating experiments in the book that are designed to help us prove this whole energy field thing and really see it in action.
And let me tell you, some of the stories people share about their experiences with these experiments, well, they're pretty mind-blowing.
Oh, absolutely. Like, remember the woman who manifested a trip to Mexico City?
Oh, yeah, the one with the almond stuffed olives.
Yes. She started acting as if she was already wealthy, and boom, the trip materialized, down to those fancy olives.
It's wild how things seem to fall into place when you start understanding how to work with this energy field.
And then there's Don, who found a rare Martin guitar collector's item for just $5 at a garage sale.
$5? Come on.
I know, right? It makes you wonder what kind of magic is happening behind the scenes.
That's the point. Grout wants us to see that this stuff isn't just some woo-woo concept. It's real, it's tangible, and she wants us to experience it for ourselves.
So let's break this down. What exactly is this field of potentiality?
Well, Grout describes it as this invisible energy field that connects everything in the universe. The key here is that it's not just some static energy. It actually responds to us, to our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs.
Okay, so it's like a mirror reflecting back what we're putting out there.
Exactly, like a mirror. And she uses this analogy of a tuning fork.
A tuning fork.
Yeah, like if you strike a tuning fork, it vibrates at a specific frequency, right? And it starts to attract other vibrations at that same frequency. Our thoughts and beliefs, they're kind of like that tuning fork. They attract experiences that match their vibe.
So if we're constantly thinking about what we don't have or focusing on the negative, we're more likely to experience those things.
You're picking it up quickly. It's like we're sending out a signal to the universe, and the universe responds in kind.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's be real here. We all have those negative thought patterns and limiting beliefs that can be hard to shake, you know. How do we overcome those and really start tapping into the FP's power?
Well, Grout tackles this head-on in E-Squared. She starts by calling out some common misconceptions about God and spirituality that can really block our connection to the FP.
Misconceptions? You mean like those beliefs that might be holding us back without us even realizing it?
Exactly. She calls them whoppers because they're often so far from the truth. It's like, come on, universe, give us a break.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Spill the beans. What are some of these whoppers we need to debunk?
Well, one of the big ones is this idea that God plays favorites, or that you have to suffer to earn points with the universe, you know, like the life sucks, then you die mentality.
I know that one all too well. Sometimes it feels like life is just one big test. But what if that's just a belief, not an absolute truth?
Exactly. And that belief can really limit our ability to experience joy and abundance. It's like we're putting a ceiling on our own potential.
So ditch the guilt trip and embrace the idea that we're inherently worthy of creating a life filled with all the good stuff.
Now you're getting it. Grout emphasizes that the FP is impartial. It's accessible to everyone, equally. It's not about winning some cosmic popularity contest. It's about understanding and working with the natural laws that govern this energy field.
Okay, no more playing small. We're all worthy and we're all capable of tapping into this power.
You got it. And you know, another whopper Grout tackles is this idea that God is vague or only answers prayers when he feels like it, which can be really frustrating when it feels like you're sending requests into the void and getting crickets in return.
Tell me about it. Sometimes it feels like those prayers are just bouncing off the ceiling.
Right. It's like, hello, universe, is anyone home?
But maybe we're just not tuned into the right frequency. Or maybe we need a little more evidence to strengthen our belief.
That's where those 9 experiments come in. They're designed to give us tangible proof that the FP is real and that it responds to our intentions.
Okay, so we're not just supposed to take Grout's word for it. We're supposed to put it to the test.
Exactly. Think of it like a scientific experiment. You have a hypothesis. And then you design an experiment to see if it holds up.
And these experiments, they're like little adventures in consciousness, right? They're challenging us to see the world in a whole new light.
I love that. Adventures in consciousness. That's a great way to put it, because that's what these experiments are. They're about expanding our awareness and challenging our assumptions about what's possible.
And one of the things that makes Grout's approach so interesting is that she doesn't just rely on anecdotal evidence. She actually weaves in scientific principles and research to support her claims.
Yeah, she mentioned some really fascinating research from scientists like Masaru Emoto, who studied how human thoughts and intentions can actually affect water crystals.
Wait, hold on. You're saying we can change the structure of water just by thinking about it?
That's what his research suggests. He took photographs of water crystals that were exposed to different words, music, even prayers. And the crystals exposed to positive intentions, they form these beautiful symmetrical patterns. But the ones exposed to negative energy formed these chaotic, distorted shapes.
Wow, that's mind-blowing. It really makes you think about how powerful our thoughts might be, even on a physical level.
Exactly. What if we're not just passive observers of reality, but active participants, constantly influencing the world around us with our thoughts?
Okay, I'm officially intrigued. Let's dive into some of these experiments. I want to hear about the ones that really blew your mind.
You got it. Let's start with the dude abides principle. It's all about asking the universe for a specific sign within 48 hours.
Ooh, I like this one. It's like a direct challenge to the universe. Show me what you got.
Exactly. And Grout uses this experiment to show how responsive the FP is to our requests.
And the examples she shares are incredible. Like the woman who received an unexpected raise and help with her move, all within her 48-hour window.
It's like the universe saying, hey, I hear you, and here's a little something to show you I'm paying attention.
It's like winning the cosmic lottery. And then there's Robin, who found that beautiful handmade leather purse a friend had left behind.
Talk about perfect timing. It makes you wonder if these things are just random coincidences or if there's something more at play.
Yeah, those seemingly coincidental events start to make you question everything you thought you knew about how the world works.
Exactly. And that's the point of these experiments, to open our minds to the possibility that we're constantly interacting with this invisible energy field, whether we're aware of it or not.
Okay, now I'm really curious about the Volkswagen Jetta principle. I feel like this one really plays with how our beliefs and expectations can shape our perceptions.
This one's all about how what we focus on determines what we notice. Remember the example Grout uses. You decide you want a Volkswagen Jetta, and suddenly they're everywhere.
It's like the universe is conspiring to make it happen.
Not quite, but it's more like your brain is filtering information based on what's relevant to you at that moment. You're suddenly noticing all the Jettas because your mind is primed to see them.
It's like when you learn a new word and then you start hearing it everywhere.
Yeah,
It's not that the word magically appeared, it's that your brain is now tuned into it.
exactly. And the same principle applies to more than just cars or words. If we're always dwelling on negativity and lack, we're going to see more of that in our lives. But when we shift our focus to abundance, love, and joy, guess what?
Those things start showing up more too.
You got it. It's like we're programming our own reality by choosing what we focus on.
Okay, this is getting good. Let's talk about manifesting some dream desires. The abracadabra principle seems to have magic written all over it.
This one is all about focusing on what you want as if it's already yours. It's about creating a feeling of certainty and allowing the FP to bring it into your reality.
So it's not just about wishing and hoping, it's about believing and knowing.
Exactly. The keys here are clarity and unwavering belief. You have to be crystal clear about what you want, and you have to trust that the universe is conspiring to make it happen.
And don't forget Wendy, who manifested that cherry wood Kimball piano she always wanted.
Yeah, Wendy, that was a great story. She just decided it was hers, and boom, it magically appeared in her life.
It's like placing an order with a cosmic concierge service.
I like that analogy. And just like with Dawn's $5 Martin guitar, sometimes the arrangements can be pretty unexpected.
Okay, so we've got our intentions, our beliefs, and our trust. But what about those times when we're faced with a tough decision? You know, those moments when we need a little guidance from the universe.
Ah, yes. For those moments, Grout gives us the Dear Abby principle. It's all about tapping into our intuition, that inner voice that always knows what's best for us.
But how do we strengthen that connection to our intuition and learn to trust it? Sometimes it feels like those whispers are pretty faint.
That's a great question. Grout suggests practicing mindfulness, spending time in nature, and paying attention to synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem to pop up in our lives.
So it's about quieting the mental chatter and really tuning in to those subtle cues and messages.
You got it. She also recommends being very clear about the question you're asking, setting a deadline for the answer, and then paying close attention to any signs or synchronicities that pop up.
It's like having your own personal oracle. And sometimes those messages can be truly life-changing. Remember Stan. He found his dream job after asking for guidance and bumping into a man at the hot springs who just happened to be looking for someone with his exact skill set.
Divine timing, right. It's a beautiful example of how interconnected everything and everyone is, and how the FP can arrange things in ways that serve our highest good.
Okay, get ready for this next one. It's a real mind bender. The superhero principle will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about the power of thought.
This one delves into the realm of psychokinesis, the ability to influence matter with the power of the mind.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying we can make things happen just by thinking about them? Like actually move objects with our minds?
Well, maybe not moving objects across the room.
Yeah.
But the concept is similar. Grout talks about an experiment where people were able to influence the growth of plants just by directing their intentions towards them.
You're kidding me. We can make plants grow faster just by thinking about them.
There is research to suggest it's possible. Dr. Gary Schwartz, a professor at the University of Arizona, he did some studies where he had people send positive intentions to plants. And those plants, they actually grew faster and had more vibrant foliage compared to the control group.
Wow, that's incredible. It really makes you think about the untapped potential of our minds, right? What if we're not just passive observers of reality, but active participants constantly shaping the world around us with our thoughts?
That's the question Grout wants us to ask. And if our thoughts can influence the growth of plants, imagine the potential we have to shape our own bodies and well-being.
Which brings us to the Jenny Craig principle. This one challenges our beliefs about food and weight loss.
Yeah, this experiment suggests that our thoughts might play a bigger role in shaping our physical bodies than we realize.
So ditch the restrictive diets and start thinking of food as fuel for both the body and the mind.
Exactly. Grout encourages us to shift our focus from counting calories to appreciating our food and sending it positive, loving thoughts before we eat.
It's like turning mealtime into a mindfulness practice, appreciating the connection between our minds, bodies, and the nourishment that sustains us.
And remember, Cleve Baxter, the guy who studied plant communication, he found that plants could actually sense human emotions.
Really? Plants have feelings?
Well, maybe not feelings in the way we think of them, but they definitely respond to our energy. If plants are sensitive to our vibes, imagine how much more sensitive our own bodies must be.
It's a good reminder to be mindful of our mental diet, too. Are we feeding our bodies with thoughts that nourish and support them, or are we constantly bombarding them with negativity?
Excellent point. Now get ready for a deep dive into interconnectedness, the 101 Dalmatians principle. This one explores the concept of non-locality.
Oh, I love this one. It's like we're all part of one giant cosmic network, constantly sending and receiving signals to one another.
Exactly. Remember those dogs in 101 Dalmatians? Barking messages across vast distances to coordinate a rescue mission. That's non-locality in action.
Okay, I'm picturing a network of barking dogs, and it's kind of awesome.
Grout proposes that we can tap into this interconnectedness to send messages to people without using traditional forms of communication.
Hold on, are you suggesting we can communicate telepathically?
It might sound like science fiction, but non-locality is a well-established principle in quantum physics. It suggests that particles can become entangled, meaning they influence each other instantaneously, even across vast distances.
Whoa, mind blown. So you're saying it's actually possible to send a message to someone just by thinking about them?
It's an experiment worth trying. Grout encourages us to choose someone and send them a message without using the usual methods, like texting or calling, and see if they receive it.
I'm definitely going to try that one. It's like a fun little game with a potentially mind-blowing outcome.
And it really challenges our assumptions about reality and the boundaries of communication. What if we're more interconnected than we realize, constantly influencing each other through our thoughts, emotions, and intentions?
That's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
Okay, let's tackle the ever-present feeling of not enough with Grout's fish and loaves principle. This experiment seems to challenge that scarcity mindset we all fall into sometimes.
Absolutely. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with messages of lack and competition, Grout reminds us that we live in an abundant universe. There's more than enough for everyone.
It's like we're all in line at a cosmic buffet, but we're too afraid to fill our plates because we think there won't be enough left for others.
Exactly. And that fear keeps us playing small. Grout encourages us to step up, fill our plates, and trust that there's more than enough to go around.
So it's about shifting our perspective from scarcity to abundance, from fear to trust.
Right. And she even points to the story of Jesus multiplying the fish and loaves to highlight this concept. It's a reminder that when we align our thoughts and beliefs with the natural laws of the universe, amazing things can happen.
Okay, ready for the grand finale. The Buckminster-Fuller Principle. This one seems to encourage us to become the architects of our own lives.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're not just passengers along for the ride. We're consciously designing our experiences by aligning our thoughts and beliefs with the vision we have for ourselves.
So we're not just victims of circumstance. We have agency. We can choose to create a life that reflects our values and aspirations.
You got it. Grout draws inspiration from Buckminster Fuller, a visionary architect, inventor, and author who dedicated his life to exploring human potential.
And what's amazing is that Fuller actually conducted his own 56-year experiment, relentlessly pursuing his vision for a better world and proving that one person can make a difference.
It's inspiring, right? And this final experiment, it asks us to consider how we can contribute to the world, how we can live a life that reflects our values and aspirations.
It's like a call to action, encouraging us to step into our power as change makers.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the potential within each of us to create a world that's more just, sustainable, and fulfilling for everyone.
I love that. So we're not just working on our own personal growth, we're contributing to the collective good.
That's the beauty of it. When we tap into the FP, we're not just transforming our own lives, we're also making the world a better place.
Okay, that's a powerful thought. And it brings us to the end of part 1 of our deep dive into E squared.
But we're just getting started. We've got so much more to explore in part 2, including how we can actually apply these concepts to improve our lives.
So stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back, everyone. So we've been exploring this fascinating concept of the field of potentiality, or FP, and all the mind-blowing possibilities it holds.
It really is a game changer, isn't it? Once you start to grasp the idea that we're not just victims of circumstance, that we actually have the power to shape our reality, well, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
So let's talk about how we can actually apply these E squared concepts to our lives. How do we take these ideas out of the theoretical realm and make them practical?
Well, one of the biggest challenges we face is overcoming those pesky negative thought patterns and limiting beliefs that we've been carrying around for who knows how long.
Ugh, tell me about it. Those negative thoughts can be like a broken record constantly playing in the background of our minds.
Exactly. And Grout offers some really practical advice for how to shift those patterns. She says the first step is awareness. Just noticing when those negative thoughts creep in and recognizing how often we engage in self-sabotage without even realizing it.
It's like catching yourself red-handed in the act of negativity.
Right. And once you're aware of those thoughts, you can start to challenge them. Grout suggests asking yourself, is this thought really true, or is there another way of looking at this situation?
So it's about reframing our perspective, choosing to focus on thoughts that empower us rather than hold us back.
Exactly. And she reminds us that we don't have to believe every thought that pops into our heads. We have the power to choose which thoughts we give energy to and which ones we let go of.
It's like decluttering our mental space to make room for more positive and constructive thinking. I like that.
Me too. Another practical application Grout highlights is using our intuition for decision-making. Quieting the mental chatter and tuning in to that inner voice that knows what's best for us.
But how do we strengthen that connection to our intuition and learn to trust it? Sometimes those whispers are pretty faint,
That's a great question. Grout suggests practicing mindfulness, spending time in nature, and paying attention to synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem to pop up in our lives.
So it's about becoming more present and aware of the subtle cues and messages that are always there.
Exactly. And as we become more attuned to those whispers, they start to feel louder and clearer. It's like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
I love that analogy. Okay, so we're working on shifting those negative thought patterns. We're tuning into our intuition. Now let's talk about manifesting some dream desires. Let's get to the good stuff.
Let's do it. Grout's abracadabra principle is all about focusing on what you want as if it's already yours. It's about creating a feeling of certainty and allowing the FP to fill in the details.
So it's not just about wishing and hoping, it's about believing and knowing.
You got it. The keys here are clarity and unwavering belief. You have to be crystal clear about what you want, and you have to trust that the universe is conspiring to make it happen.
And don't forget Wendy, who manifested that cherry wood Kimball piano she always wanted. She just decided it was hers, and boom, it showed up in her life.
Yeah, Wendy's story is a great example of how the FP can work in unexpected ways. The key is not to get hung up on the how, but to trust that the universe will orchestrate the details in ways you might never have imagined.
It's like placing an order with a cosmic concierge service. All you need is the intention, and the FP handles the arrangements.
I love that analogy. And just like with Don's $5 Martin guitar, sometimes his arrangements can be pretty incredible.
Okay, so we're manifesting our dream desires. But what about cultivating a mindset of abundance and possibility in general? That feeling that there's more than enough to go around.
That's a really important shift to make, especially in a world where we're constantly bombarded with messages of scarcity and competition. Grout reminds us that we live in an abundant universe. There's plenty for everyone if we're just willing to open our minds and hearts to receive it.
It's about letting go of that fear that there's not enough to go around and trusting that the universe is always providing for us.
Exactly. And it's about saying yes to new experiences and opportunities, knowing that there's always something amazing waiting for us around the corner.
So embracing the adventure of life and allowing ourselves to be surprised by the infinite possibilities that unfold before us.
You got it. E² is really a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and realizing our limitless potential. It's a reminder that magic is real, and it's all around us. We just have to be open to seeing it.
And once we do, those possibilities are truly endless. It's like we've been handed the keys to the kingdom, but sometimes we forget to use them.
Exactly. E² is a powerful nudge to unlock those doors and step into a reality where anything is possible.
And what I find so inspiring about Grout's approach is that she doesn't present this as some unattainable mystical state that's only for a select few. She emphasizes that the power to shape our reality is inherent within each of us.
Right. It's not about being special or gifted. It's about reclaiming our birthright as conscious creators of our own lives.
And the beauty of it is that it doesn't require complicated rituals or esoteric knowledge. Those 9 experiments in E² are simple, practical, and accessible to anyone who's willing to give them a try.
It's like Grout is saying, don't just take my word for it. Go out there and experience it for yourself.
That's what makes this book so compelling. It's not just about reading someone else's spiritual journey. It's an invitation to embark on your own adventure of consciousness.
And the results can be truly transformative. The people who've tried these experiments and shared their stories in the book have manifested everything from dream jobs and soulmates to financial abundance and even miraculous healings.
It's like Grout is giving us a glimpse into a world where anything is possible. A world where we're not limited by the beliefs and limitations of the past.
And that's the beauty of the field of potentiality. It's a realm of infinite possibility where our thoughts and beliefs have the power to create our reality.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into E², what is one final thought-provoking question you'd like to leave our listeners with?
What if the seemingly random events in your life are actually responses to your deepest thoughts and beliefs? What if you have more power to shape your reality than you ever imagined?
Whoa, that really makes you think, doesn't it? What if we're not just along for the ride? What if we actually have the power to create the life we want?
That's what E² is all about. It's about waking up to that possibility. It's about realizing that the universe isn't some fixed, unchangeable thing, but a dynamic field of energy that responds to our thoughts, beliefs, and intentions.
So we're not just victims of circumstance. We actually have agency. We can choose to create a life filled with joy, abundance, and purpose.
Absolutely. And that's such an empowering message, isn't it? And the best part is, Grout doesn't just leave us hanging with these abstract ideas. She gives us a roadmap, a set of tools we can use to start shaping our reality.
Right, those 9 experiments, they're not just theoretical concepts. They're practical exercises we can do to experience the power of the FP for ourselves. I love that she encourages us to become our own scientists, to test these principles out for ourselves. It's not about blind faith. It's about experiencing the power of the FP firsthand.
And those experiences can be truly transformative. The people who've tried these experiments and shared their stories in the book, they've manifested everything from dream jobs and soulmates to financial abundance and even miraculous healings.
It's like she's pulling back the curtain and showing us a world where anything is possible, a world where we're not limited by the beliefs and limitations of the past.
It's a glimpse into a reality where our thoughts and beliefs really do have the power to create our experiences.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into E², what's one final piece of advice you'd give to our listeners who are excited to start exploring the FP for themselves?
I'd say don't be afraid to experiment. Choose an experiment that resonates with you and just give it a try. Go into it with an open mind and a playful curiosity. What do you have to lose?
That's such great advice. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Connect with other people who are exploring these ideas. Find a community. Share your experiences. Celebrate your successes.
The journey of working with the field of potentiality, it's an ongoing adventure. It's about constantly expanding your awareness, challenging your limiting beliefs, and stepping more fully into your power as a conscious creator.
Well said. And on that note, I encourage everyone listening to check out Pam Grout's E Squared. It's a truly fascinating and inspiring book that might just change your life.
It certainly changed mine. And remember, the universe is listening. What will you choose to create?
That's a great question to leave our listeners with. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into E Squared. Until next time, keep exploring, keep experimenting, and keep believing in the power of the field of potentiality.
We hope you're leaving with fresh insights and a spark of inspiration. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and check back for more episodes as we dive into new worlds of thought, one book at a time. Until then, keep your mind set in stone and your curiosity open. This has been a Big L Riz Media podcast, where big ideas meet lasting impressions.